for International Association of Facilitators. Since 2018, I've started a book series on architecting collaboration, and my latest book in co-authorship with other renowned digital facilitators and guest co-authors is titled Beyond Virtual Meetings. It's all about the importance of the digital tools that can extend and augment the power of you as a facilitator and a meeting host in a virtual online meeting, but also on the hybrid meetings that are going to be so much needed in this post-pandemic era.
Along with my co-author Martin Duffy and esteemed PhD colleague, we host Talk to Your Meeting Daughter, a series of hosted conversations with meeting experts that can advise you about how to transition to this new normal and take advantage of this incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make the organization of your meetings more sustainable. Please stand by as the next show will start momentarily.
Okay, so greetings, everyone. It's really great to be here again with you. It's unbelievable. We are already episode 11. This year just started so fast, right, Martin?
Time flies. We're in our third year, Paul, and coming to the end of our third year, which is extraordinary.
It's really amazing. And today we are here to host our guest speaker in Talk to Your Meeting Doctors, a person that has contributed a lot to the meeting industry. And we are talking about the author of one of the co-authors of the famous book, Into the Art of Meetings. Welcome, Eric. Welcome to the show.
Paul, thank you. So I'm delighted to be in your third year, the 11th guest. That is good. Thank you.
That's really amazing. And we normally start our shows by asking our guest speakers something that could be a little bit tricky, right, Martin? Maybe you could proceed there.
Yeah, or something that people wouldn't generally know about you, Eric. If there's anything that's mind that is one of the lesser known details about Eric de Groot.
Ooh, okay, good. Yeah, that's tricky. That's indeed tricky. Yeah. Well, I suppose that we're talking about people that are somehow connected to the world of meetings and meeting design, and many of them don't know that I'm a writer as well. That I write fiction. I write stories.
Super.
And one of the channels that I use is a water sport magazine that has 10,000 editions, or I'd say copies. It comes up twice a year, and always in the Christmas edition, I write the crazy fantasy water sport story that is over the top. That is what I do. So I think not many. Quite a few people know that I lived on a boat. I had a yacht built 15 years ago. It sold again, but that was my life.
Wow.
But now I'm using all these memories and these experiences to create these totally crazy stories.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah.
We always learn something very interesting with that question, Paul.
Yes, I can understand. Oh, yeah.
Even when people don't like the question, we've experience of people not thinking the question was a good question. That's perfectly fine. But it's always an interesting way to start to hear a little bit of his personal background. Eric, it's really great to have you on the broadcast. I suppose there's the very first thought that I had when I saw the art of meeting design. I was struck by the idea that there are so many different types of meetings. You know, whether it's workshops or planning sessions or away days, or so that whole spectrum of meetings does the art of meeting design apply to them all? Or does it only apply, do you think, to a small section of them?
Well, it applies to to a specific kind of meeting, the one of a kinds. Not that we're not that specialized in the day-to-day meetings, like the Monday morning, what are we going to do this week meeting. That is the meeting design thinking could be applied to this, and we developed a program that was called that was giving meetings a boost, Meeting Booster. But the work normally is being conducted for organizations that have these special wishes, like management meetings, also the smaller ones, workshops, or the big annual conference that really needs a makeover, like stuff like this. So not the day-to-day. So that is correct. That's a good question. Yeah.
So that takes us then into, well, what particular types of meetings lend themselves to the type of design thinking that you have in mind?
Well, the best meeting is the meeting that normally sucks. The meeting that just is boring, that doesn't work, that doesn't deliver, that costs a lot of money, and that just doesn't do any more than transferring a bit of information, giving people a cup of coffee or a drink or both, and then send them away with a lot of ideas or a lot of information in their head, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that is exactly the profile of people that will hire us if they start being worried about, my goodness, isn't there anything more that we can achieve?
Yeah.
And so it is, in a way, it's not a kind. We've done so many really different ones, but the common factor was always the meeting owner being worried about, it's not going to work if we only do a panel discussion and we give them a keynote and then we give them a couple of breakout sessions that are in themselves quite often keynotes as well.
Yeah.
And then they go home, and how on earth am I going to know that anything is going to happen afterwards? And that's where we come in.
So is that the key driver? It's the post meeting activities, or is it during the meeting dissatisfaction leading to post meeting lack of follow on, lack of energy, lack of
a bit of both, of course.
Okay.
It is not being satisfied by what happens in the meeting. There's no good atmosphere, or it's not that scientific, or you don't have to be Albert Einstein to know whether a meeting is good or not. If you look into the eyes of a meeting owner and you say, now, was this good? What do you feel? Did anything crucial happen today? Then most people instantly know, yes, this was really good. This is going to create something new, or it doesn't. And that is indeed the wish of organizations, to create something that has an effect after it's all gone. And
I presume then it's typically, is it the head of the company, the CEO, or is it one of the kind of the senior executive management team members that will typically come to you and they'll pose some kind of a problem that they're experiencing about their meetings? What kind of problems typically come in your door?
Where it comes from, that is the question has two parts. Where it comes from is differs a lot. Sometimes it's the CEO, sometimes it's just the event manager that says, come on, let's do something different, this is not going to work. So that comes from different angles. Sometimes it's a consultancy firm that says, we need a meeting that addresses this, we don't know how to do it, but we know that we have to do this. So from different angles. And then your second part of your question. I forgot. Sorry.
What kind of problems then?
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
When we can identify who brings the problem, what kind of problems are they bringing that need
Well,
design work?
Well, quite often it is about silos in big organizations. People don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Quite often it is about people don't take ownership of what an organization needs to do. They just listen in, go back home, and they just don't do anything. That is quite common. Sometimes it's about not being creative. We want our people to speak out, to come up with things that we as management can't think of. We want them to share their worries and share their ideas of how to realize progress. And that is so, yeah, these are three pretty typical things. The beauty is it seems very strangely, it seems to change over the years. And there is a sort of a theme in the air. Now, I had the last couple of let's say 2 years, the theme was the silo. People don't talk to each other anymore.
That's interesting.
And then, well, of course, we all know people need to think out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that is worrying organizations a lot. And you can change that in meetings. You can make them. You can kick the box out of the whole thinking. And then people say, out of the box, there's no box anymore.
And have you seen a pattern to that? So over time, different types of problems seem to be recurring in batches. Am I understanding?
Yeah, that is. It could be a coincidence. I don't know. It's very hard to really understand. But nowadays, of course, we talk a lot about, sustainability. And sustainability related to ownership. Everybody's talking about sustainability, but nothing is going to happen if no one says, okay, this is my problem. I own it. In my part of the organization, we're going to do stuff. So this is about ownership. And again, face-to-face meetings can almost push ownership into the faces of participants. It could be, in a way, pretty rough as well. You have to do, sometimes you have to do pretty radical things to make that happen.
And will that be in advance of the meetings, or during the meetings, or after the meetings, or all three? All
three, yeah. Yeah, yes. It starts, that's good. It starts how you invite people. Yeah. I mean, an example is, dear Mr. Duffy, we are delighted to invite you on our annual conference of ex-aviators, and we hope you're going to enjoy the keynote of Mr. Armstrong. Now, if that is the basic text of the invitation, your reaction will be, my goodness, I'm a guest. They're gonna entertain me. It's gonna be. Armstrong's going to be there. Wow. And I'm invited to be there. They're happy when I come. So that puts you in a position of the big consumer. So if you want people to own a problem, you're not going to invite them this way.
Yeah.
You're going to say, okay, Martin, as you know, as an aviator fan, sustainability in aviation is a great problem. We can only solve it having the best possible minds in the house, and that is why we invite you. So please be there. We need you. Now this sounds totally different, right? Then you come and you think, my goodness, I have to save the world. I'll be there. So
you're switching. You're definitely. I can see that form of invitation. So setting that scene in advance of the meetings becomes a key ingredient to changing and switching how people react, respond, engage, and so on.
Yeah,
Super. Yeah, makes sense.
And then if you follow that line, then instantly the first program part and even the opening should resonate with that idea immediately. So any opening should energize and mobilize people instantly if you want them to be the owners of the problem. Now that is the sort of meeting design thinking that we apply.
Absolutely, but can I throw some question here, Martin? Because I know you have a script and our time is limited, obviously, to our 45 minutes here. But Eric, listening to you and to this massive wisdom that you bring to the table here, I'm wondering about world statistics on meetings, because I see that, and this is, tapping on your own experiences. How in percentage of total number of meetings a day, right, in the meeting industry, what's the percentage that you feel going to be problem-solving meetings rather than entertainment meetings, that corporates throw for customers? And
well, we're talking about homeopathic percentages here. It is horrible. If you Google and you use the term conference program, and you go to how do you call that, pictures, so you want to see actual programs, then 1 million programs come by and they all look the same. It's all like the keynote opening address, the minister of blah 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 says blah blah blah, and then we're going to listen to this and this. So it is slow. This is a frustration. I'm getting old now, 60s. I just turned 67 yesterday.
Yay!
Hey, and then I'm looking back and
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
yes.
birthday. Yeah, we're celebrating.
And the point, I could be really frustrated or I could be really happy, and I still don't know which one should be genuine. I mean, there's so much total nonsense going on, money spent really badly. At the same time, if I compare meetings, association meetings, for instance, in the past when I just started in '92, and then I ran into MPI and I did a couple of workshops in an Amsterdam European conference of them, and I said, okay, let's do something, guys. I want to become active. Let's change the tables a little bit. We pushed them aside and then rearranged the chairs. They were totally flabbergasted. Like, what do you want to do? You want to change the room here? Why? So there was a total earthquake there, and that's not the case anymore. People started in the mainstream. People will have started to think about, all right, we can influence. There's not only the classroom typical setup that's going to work. We can do different things. So there is change, yes. However, of course, very slow, very slow.
I was just going to say, but is there still resistance to that change in how the meetings are conducted and so on?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And that's an interesting field to explore, because much of the resistance is not participants, not at all. I mean, I can tell you for ages about the totally crazy things that we have had people do. And just if you have a good idea and you have a strong facilitator, you can do practically anything with people. So that's never the point. Resistance comes from the highest level, always. They are scared. They have not the imagination of what's going to happen if you let go. If you have a group of 3,000 people going crazy and starting to yell out ideas, the mother management people think, yeah, that's going to be a mess. And my responsibility is to avoid a mess. That is what I do. I'm in control, and then I'm not in control. So better not. So that is the resistance. So it's a question of inserting imagination in the world of management as well.
But from what you're saying there, Eric, if there's resistance from on high,
Yeah.
like meeting design, is to get inside the heads of the most senior people to say, what is it that, well, what are you looking for inside their heads?
Yeah. Well, of course, that's the first step. Do they allow me to have a conversation? And as soon as the door opens, then we know, oh, we might be getting there. Which is in any consultancy job, it's the same, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Change management start with the CEO opening the door. If the door is closed, forget it.
Yeah.
Now, and then as soon as the door opens, you have to have a methodology and ask the right questions. And one of the questions that is pretty successful always is, okay, now we speak here with 3 or 4 board members about the upcoming annual management meeting. 500 people travel worldwide cost loads of money. Now, then I'm asking these guys, how many meetings do you do on an annual basis? What is the sort of average time consuming factor of your employees? Okay, they do about 30% of all their work is meetings. Okay, now what is the annual or the hourly rate of your employees? Yeah. Now, do the hours that your people spend time the hourly rate, and then do your math. And then there's a huge number coming out, always. Mm. Then you ask, okay, now, who in the board is responsible for this investment? Then there's a silence. Nobody is. And then there's the guy who is responsible for whatever, for marketing. How much do you spend on marketing? Now this. Now you spend more time on meetings and more money on meetings and less on marketing. But marketing is in the hands of one of the board members, and meetings is not. Now, would that be normal, even in very Anglo-Saxon management thinking, to spend so much money on and nobody's responsible? Is that a good thing to do? And then, okay, then they open up. That is the way in general to open the door. Of course, we have a methodology. If we focus with the meeting owner and a team of people, we focus on what a meeting should achieve. We have a number of steps.
Sure. Yeah. And
the first question is always fun for me, because I always know what's going to happen. And they're going to be really confused. Well, it's a question. Well, I'm not gonna dive into the methodology, but and then the end of the discussion is always the CEO thinks this, and a couple of board members are really totally amazed about what that person says. Do you really think? Do you really think the meeting is about this? I thought the meeting was about that. And then I know now we're on track.
So the key thing that we're trying to establish is purpose, meeting purpose, linked to meeting outcome.
Yes.
See, that's a consistent theme, actually. When we think back, Paul, on all of the meeting conversations that we've had with all of the different experts, looking at meetings from very, very different perspectives, but that's a common thread that keeps on coming back. Purpose and output. Why are we doing it at the beginning? And what are we expecting to get at the end? But you said something really interesting there, Eric. You brought it back down to the bottom line, a bottom line question. In other words, cost, investment, ownership, and responsibility for that. Is that a key part of your meeting design philosophy?
Oh yeah, it is. And cost also in terms of human human spending time on something. We have all these problems in the world, and then they're going to sit and they do stuff that is totally ridiculous. So that is hurtful. However, when we talk about resistance, there's another remarkable thing that we have to realize here, which is that me and you, Martin, and you, Paul, we all received about 12 years of really consistent education in enduring meetings that we didn't know why we were there, which is our school time. We came as a 5-year-old, we came into a room and there was someone telling us what to do. And our parents said, no, this is good. You should be here. And we had no clue why. And that kept on being the case until 16, 17, 18. We went to history lessons and we had no clue. Why are we explaining, why am I here? What's going to be the outcome of this? So we're all very, very, very trained in enduring those meetings that we don't know why. We have no clue of their purpose. And then we go into professional life and our manager invites us for a meeting, and then we think, oh, this looks like a classroom. That's good. It's familiar. We're familiar here. It is a familiar situation. You have to just be there, but low profile a little bit. Don't ask questions. Listen carefully, and try to survive. And that kicks in very quickly.
Eric, sorry to interrupt, because I mean, taking advantage also of your presence in this amazing conversation and tapping on your wisdom. You know, I have the privilege, and Martin and I, we are meeting doctors because we're both PhD. I had the privilege to conduct research at Management School, Lancaster University, where I was. I've met Gareth Morgan. He was senior than I was when I was at Lancaster. And he come up with this concept, and I'm sure you both are familiar with the concept of organization as metaphors, where Gareth did lots of research and think about organizations can be machines as well as living organisms, as well as brains, political systems, you know. And when you just said, Martin, that a purpose is at the core of the most conversations we have here, is a common theme, a common denominator. I'm wondering, and Eric, this is for you, and Martin, please step in as well from your experience. As would this concept of metaphor in an organization could actually impact on the purpose of meetings, right? Because it's not the same thing if you're living in an organization that is a machine. Meetings serve a purpose that's totally different from the purpose of meetings in organizations that are flux and transformation, right? Or even psychic prisons, as Gareth puts them, you know, organizations that could be political systems, you know. And this is something that I would like to listen from you, Eric, and also Martin, from you too.
Martin, I think you agree this is an important angle.
Absolutely, yeah.
Martin was in the military, so organizations as machines is familiar to you, right, Martin?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I suppose it speaks as well, Paul, to the context, though, doesn't it? That the context in which the meetings are taking place informs the purpose they serve.
Yeah.
So bringing clarity to that in the organization setting at the CEO level, board chair level, board members, executive team members, searching out that clarity of the organization's status standing. And Paul, to your point then, is the use of metaphors for the individual organization, is that a useful way to help them bring clarity to that sense of collective purpose in order to inform the purpose of the meetings that they then hold?
Yeah. No, I agree. And however, that is something that needs to be done on a board level.
Yeah.
Even the CEO, on a CEO, personal CEO level. How does the CEO perceive his organ or her organization? What is the core of this? And I've seen organizations change over the years here after doing series of meetings with them and really addressing this. However, slowly. And don't forget, we have to fight Anglo-Saxon management literature here. That always say to us, you have to do this. Competition is what it is, all about self-fulfillment, and it's a fight, and etc. And that pushes you into a certain metaphorical direction, of course. Yeah. But the big innovators in industries are the people that exactly do something really different here, and that have taken the decision. I don't want to see my organization as a machine, or the military, a band of brothers. That beautiful title, right?
Yeah.
No, slowly diving into a direction of my organization is a family, or is a group of friends. And then as soon as this starts, then the position of the CEO will change dramatically, very quickly as well. Okay, I'm not the boss anymore. I'm the supporter of all these crazy people in my group. And then, yeah, this is a beautiful idea, a beautiful thing, because it's also about words. The wording counts here. As in the invitation, the wording counts, but also in the next step, the wording counts. You have to keep on using the same, the good words, consistent words. And I worked for a technical company that perceived themselves as being very hierarchical. They had a strong hierarchy. However, as Dutch people do, in their management meetings, they wanted to be very friendly to each other. And my intervention was to know, okay, you love hierarchy. Now let's make it visible. So in the room, here is the board of directors, here's the top management, and here's the middle management. And if we talk about a problem, then the board can formulate the problem, and the top management can try to find a solution. And the middle management, they have to think of how to implement the solution. And let's not mix this up. And that was really difficult for them, because it was not consistent with the metaphor that they had in their head. I love those. I really like those sort of processes where this changes.
But that can be transformational then. And it can be, that can create huge dissonance for the organization. This idea of almost wrestling with their own identity.
Whoa. And that is interesting.
That is quite interesting. I'm sorry, Martin, did I interrupt you?
No, actually, I was just going to lead back to a point to the point that you made there, Paul, that as you were speaking and talking about the metaphors and so on, the picture that was evolving in my mind was, are we actually talking about the culture of the organization? Is that what this is leaning into? That how the organization perceives itself, its purpose, and then, so Eric, to take the point that the example that you just gave, where they think they're very hierarchical, and when you kind of dissected their hierarchy, it's role driven. The board does one role with strategy. The executive management team takes that and does a different thing with it. And then the middle management takes it and does another thing. Is that weaving into the culture of the organization then? And if that's the case, what role does culture play in the meeting design process?
Yeah.
Is that something we have to wrestle with?
I think yes. we need another 2 weeks for this.
Yeah, well,
you know how difficult it is to do cultural interventions. It takes time. It takes support. It takes a conversation and a really dialogue, almost a fight with the board members and the CEO.
Yeah.
However, the other side of this is I've seen many big organizations that are sort of they sort of kept into their metaphor. They can't go out of the metaphor anymore. They are I'm looking for the English word. It became a prison, and it's blocking any innovation, and it takes a struggle and a fight to make that change, and it only is going to happen if there is a sense of urgency here, if there's a big problem. And sometimes you have to decide, I'm not going to solve the problem, I'm going to make the problem bigger here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But Martin, taking on that, and sorry if I'm disturbing your beautiful thread, but now I'm thinking, Eric, but it struck me, a meeting designer, or what we call a facilitator, could then become easily an executive coach in order for she or he to be successful, right?
Yeah. Now, Paul, you're hitting the nail on the head. That happens often, because the management meetings are key in the performance of board members, and they know this. They can fail once, and if they fail another time in an annual meeting, they're gonna be sacked. It's game over. So they know how important it is, and that is exactly what you say. Then you become an executive coach, but we do that through the design of meetings. And we don't want to step into their whole business ideas, but only what's got the face-to-face meeting or the online meetings got to do with what you want to be and where you want to go. And if there's any inconsistency there, then we can help. So beautiful idea, the metaphor, and
there's an expression, Eric, and I've shared this. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, the whole idea of metaphorical thinking that is driving behavior has got another perspective related to meeting design, which is if people enter a meeting, they have this metaphor, also the expectation in their head as well, and that is a metaphor. We call that elementary meetings. They have this expectation. Oh, this is where I am in their head, and that is a thing that can be changed a lot easier than more cultural metaphors, because you can create dissonance here, and people will get confused and will conclude, okay, no, I'm not in a classroom. This is a laboratory, or this is a sports game. And that is actually what we do as well. Madalena was about to tell you about a meeting. I don't know if the conversation would go there, but we deliberately, we did a meeting together, and instead of going to a conference center, we went to a sports arena. And when people entered there, I facilitated it as well. We did the design, and I did some sort of facilitation every now and then. And when they entered, we made sure that there were basketballs there. While drinking coffee, there were basketballs flying around. And that gave them the confusion. Oh my goodness, we're not in one of those sit, listen and shut up meetings. We are in a sports arena. And that was a totally different elementary meeting. We are the players today. And that was exactly what our meeting owner wanted to achieve. We want them to be players and not an audience today. So that's what you actually can do.
That's amazing, because then you're playing with environment in order to impact behaviors of meeting participants.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I remember that from the book, I read your book, Into the Art of Meetings, and something struck me there, because you create separation between what you called the content flow of the meeting, and then I forgot the name of the other concept, but it's probably the environment, right? The environment.
Yeah, the experience concept.
The experience content. Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit on this, Eric? Because I found those concepts so quite powerful.
Yeah. Well, the concept of experience, the experience concept idea is, we want meeting owners to speak out about what kind of an experience they want to offer participants. And that is not that easy, because people say, oh, okay, that's a good question. Now, I want it to be really inspiring. I want it to be out of the box, and I want them to have a great time. Okay, thank you. I understand. Or, so now what do I have to do? Now
go to the theater.
Yeah, right. This is, if that's the case, easy. Then the new theater, job done. No. What we do is we say to them, listen, an experience comes from what people do, what they actually do. So if you go hunting, then you have an experience of being a hunter, and that gives you a certain an experience, right? So hunting is your job. So we say, okay, in terms of experience, what do you want people, your participants, actually to do? And we have these beautiful words that express activities, and those are called verbs. So we say, now let's go and we do a long list of verbs. Now, CEO, unload and use your fantasy and tell us what do you see people do? And they always go sort of like, now they talk, and I write on a flip chart to talk, and then they go on to talk, to eat, and sometimes they just invent it on the spot, and then an image comes up. Now from this, we go through a couple of steps, and the end is that I lead them into formulating a situation in normal life that has all these, and then we cut it down to 6 verbs, all the 6 verbs in it. And they're going to say, actually, it's amazing. They're going to say, I want our annual management meeting to feel like a Christmas dinner. And the Christmas dinner are these 6 verbs. And then we say, okay, now whatever happens in the meeting, any program part in the meeting has to have at least 4 of these verbs, these activities in there. And it says, enjoy, eat. Now, a Christmas dinner is also about quarreling, right, to your family, or now it has quarreling, or now you understand. And we also say, now, listening to a lecture is not something that you mention. So sorry, there can't be a lecture in it, because it needs to be Christmas dinner. Nobody's lecturing during Christmas dinner. And the beauty is they said it themselves.
Yeah,
And they agree. They say, yeah, good, good. Now that's the experience concept. And you can build on this. And I've seen many different, really weird ones that really worked totally well.
Okay,
And
amazing.
that gives the meeting, that is only on the experience side of it. It's not the content, it is what people are going to experience. And then you insert the content in there. And up, here you go.
Okay, it's amazing, amazing.
Yep.
Well, Martina wouldn't join us, I think, and we are approaching the end of the episode, right? So maybe we could strike a part 2. Martin, what do you guess? Part 2 next month with Martina?
And certainly, I think it would be really interesting. Sorry,
and
Paul.
And we will invite also Mike, your other co-author. I think it's well worth it, right? From what we capture here.
Yeah, whatever.
What's really struck me about the conversation, Eric, is the concepts that you've laid out are, you know, they're provocative. And we just at the end, we started to touch into some of the, how do we deal with these different provocations? And the question that's in my mind now is, so what's going to come out of dealing with these provocations, which I have an intuition that's going to be the meeting design. So while you said it much earlier on, you said I won't go into the methodology, but Paul, from what you're saying there, maybe our follow-on episode could be a conversation with Madalena, with yourself, and with your co-host Eric, if you were amenable, to do just that, to continue this conversation and to take it into the methodology, to say, and maybe Paul, as an idea, maybe we could do the summary, not now, but actually do a summary at the very start of the next episode to try and bring us from this conversation into, so this is where we left our conversation. Now, what methodology would we apply in order to bring all of these different features or facets of meeting design, to bring it to life in real time?
Sounds like a good cliffhanger, Martin.
And that wasn't planned.
That wasn't planned. That wasn't planned. But we love innovation, don't we, Martin?
Well, we're love flexible, innovation. Paul, we'll go where the flow takes us, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So, dear viewers, it was really a pleasure to be here with all of you today. And I hope that you have enjoyed as much as I did this conversation with Eric de Groot, as usual, with my co-host, Martin Duffy. And before we go, perhaps we just say final words and we wrap up and turn off the camera, as you probably need to do other things on your busy schedules today. So final words, Eric, Martin, takeaways.
Ooh. Martin, you go.
Eric?
You. Well, I haven't got much to add here. Just let's continue on the path of innovation. There's a lot to do. And the potential of the human creativity we haven't reached. We haven't reached the summit. Not even nearly, I think. So that is driving me.
Amazing. Good. Thank you. Martin, and over to you and closing the broadcast today.
There's my screen. Just my screen froze momentarily there. There's one takeaway that I have, Paul, that might bring us into the next episode, actually. And Eric, it's something you said about 3/4 ways through, where you talked about the prison of people's minds. And that idea that in order to get good meeting design, sometimes we might have to free the prisoners.
Ooh, good.
So maybe that's a hook to start off our next episode. Freeing the prisoners in people's minds about meeting design.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eric, Martin, and hope to see you all again next month for the second part of this conversation today. Goodbye for now.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.